Hi, Trina, right here for day 22 of 365 days of realizations. So, as you can tell, I am out in the wet, raining forest. I don't know if you can see the rain, but I love the tree behind me and the moss. And I'm standing on the path. There's always a chance someone else will walk by, and that will be perfect if it does. So today is my daughter Renee's 16th birthday, which is exciting, and why I'm doing the video now, because I know I'm going to have a busy day hanging out with her. And on this day of reflection, thinking that 16 years ago, I was coming into being the mom of a daughter for the first time, because I already had two sons. They're older. And also just the recognition of what a pure ray of light she is, which does not mean that she is not still filled with all the stuff that teenagers come filled with, like messiness and argumentativeness at times and thinking she knows everything. But ultimately, she serves as a deep reminder as to why I think my soul chose to express in this way, to take on this identity as mother and then find my way into it and out of it and through it and beyond it, and to come into a space where the concept of motherhood is just so filled with so much, like just so many big things like responsibility and that I know better and that I should just control them or tell them what to do or inspire them or, whatever it is, or maybe even just let them figure it out. But that has been my life. That is really the largest work of my life to this point, has been being a mom. And I know that I chose it so that I could experience. Hi. I had some fellow walkers on the path. I know that I chose being a mom so that I could have all of the experiences that came along with that, all of these epic experiences of letting go, of surrender, of emptying of all those constructs that I was just talking about, and of being love in such a way that I see the best in them in every given moment, and now I'm moving it into seeing the godness in them in every given moment, and yet at the same time teaching them enough about the illusion and the matrix so they can function in it, but without buying into it. And I didn't come into my own awakening until they were each a little older. Also, the point that my husband died 9 years ago, so their dad. So that means that right in the middle of it, there was this sort of very catalytic, contrasting experience that sort of catapulted all of us into a different type of thing. A push for me to sort of get away from the feelings, but then go into the feelings. And my children have watched all of that as I awakened. And this particular child of mine, this beautiful being, has really taken those things. She's so much like me. She loves to process everything out loud. She's very, very self-aware. She's very attuned. She knows how she wants to feel. She's compassionate and caring, but also with clear certainty about who she is and why she's here, and often will say things like, I believe what you believe, I just want to find my own way, which is just brilliant and perfect, because I used to think, why is it that teenagers have to go over and over and over and do all the things we've already done? Why can't we just save them the trouble and tell them, don't do that, do this, don't do that, do this, because I did it, and I know this equals offness, this equals suffering, this equals something. But ultimately, all of it equaled expansion, and you can't give that to someone. They can only get it through the experience. They can only come to their own remembering, to their own truths, through the moment-to-moment lived experience of having it, some of which is just playing against the reflection in the world, playing that up and seeing how it goes, and taking that reflection and rolling with it. And that's the very best that we can all do. But it deepens us. It deepens us, and it deepens the conviction of the truth of who we really are when we live it, when we have that experience. So as a mom, what it's come to for me lately is I don't take on the construct of all of that stuff about responsibility. They came as their own beings. They chose to come here. They are not tiny little unintelligent flecks that we think they are. They are the fullness of God embodied too. And they are coming into that remembering just like we all are. And so it doesn't serve me to see them as less than, but only to see them as a full that they are, and to remember that they have an inner being that is guiding them every step of the way. And so the best work that I can do is the same thing I would do with myself. Connect inward and then, connect inward and then. And so to teach my children that the most epic place that I could ever find an answer is inside of them. And sure, I've served as that substitute. I've been the bridge between them and source as much as I possibly can. And the cleaner I get, the better it will be, because sometimes when you ask a parent to do that, if they're not empty, if they're carrying all their stuff around, if their persona, personality, sense of responsibility, sense of who that child should be in the world has got them, then they have nothing really pure to offer, because they're worried about how they'll look. They're worried about how they'll appear. They're worried about what the child's behavior will say about them. And they're caught up in their own belief about what's right and wrong. And I'm really trying to embody this idea of just freedom. Everything's an expression of God. Yes, activities that take us to leaning towards the feeling of who we really are, that's about the best we can do, which is hard, juxtaposed against this epic delusion, this epic constant pull to distraction with the phones and the devices and the fastness and the information and just the social media and all that stuff that these kids are dealing with these days, amplified so much more than when I was a kid. I just can't even imagine. So the fact that I get to stand witness to her working it all out, and she shared in her own post for her birthday what she's been through since the death of her father 9 years ago. She went from being this joyfully happy 6-year-old to all of a sudden be racked with anxiety through her body that she couldn't even understand, staying at home, not going to school, trying to work it out, feeling lost, feeling found, to the point that it peaked about, I guess, a year ago, when she ended up in the hospital for suicidal ideation and found her way through surrendering to come back into it and to choose to be here fully and to understand that what a gift of it is, and that her soul is having a journey. And I know that she's coming into that, remembering, just like we all are, more and more each day, and to see it at such a young age and to do whatever I can to help it. And so it's really taken me to this place of a recognition that the messy room and the talking back to me and the being on her phone once in a while and the telling me yesterday, she's like, "Mom, leave me alone. I got it figured out." She's trying to figure out something at school. And I was like, "I don't know if that's going to work." And she's like, "Mom, I got it." I wish I could have said that to my mom, and yet I wouldn't have. But it would have helped me to come through that idea of, I need to figure out who I am so I can figure out who I'm not, which means I need to figure out and feel some solid control over myself as a person, so that then I can come to the realization that I'm not a person. And she is well on her way to that. She is engaging in big concepts like meaning is optional and you create your own reality. And she has repeated evidence of both of those. And that there is something at play that she can't quite put her finger on, that explains when you look at something and it gets bigger, and when you don't look at something, you don't. And that the world responds by saying, "What do you mean you're not going to notice that thing over there?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to notice that thing over there, because then I feel better and it doesn't come into my experience." What a cool way to live. And I think there's this whole new charge of beings coming on this planet that are really going to take it to a new place. They're going to manifest quicker. They're going to understand who they are faster. They're going to just live a totally different, enlightened, empowered life than we even had access to. But let's remind ourselves that as parents and as just beings on this planet, vibrationally speaking and consciously speaking, we've opened up that energy to make this possible, because it is just going to get more and more open. And I just see it in her. So I delight in it. I am going to celebrate all of it. I'm going to celebrate the beauty that is her, and I'm going to honor and celebrate within myself the fact that this is my Dharma. This is what I chose to come here for. And from that fullness and from that place, I'm moving in other directions now that look like sharing myself on video, giving up this example as one possibility of parenting, of walking the spiritual path, of being enlightened, of how to use meditation in your life, as how to set your state of being moment to moment to moment, how to understand what thoughts are and not to get lost in constructs, or do it when it serves you, and just be playful about it and have fun. I mean, we're not here to get it all done necessarily. I mean, maybe, but we're just here to incrementally move ourselves in the direction of knowing who we are and remembering it fully. And I have full on moments where it is just, as I said, I breathe in this bliss of joy of knowing who I am. If every being on this planet could taste that and remember it, so why not start with the young ones? Like, why not? So it is an ongoing process for me to balance that stuff between what it means to be a mom and what it means to just be and to trust and to have faith that each one of my kids has it. And it might not always look great. It might not always be perfect. There is times that they make choices that seem questionable to everyone. And for me to just be like, that's still an equally valid expression of the one infinite one. It's an equal expression of God right now. And maybe it's what serves them, even though I can't see it. I can't get in the way of their expansion. I have to let them fall so they can pick themselves up. I have to let them soar so they can know how high they can go. And it's just my beautiful privilege to watch it, to support when I can, to plant seeds when I can, and then to let go and just be completely detached in all of it. Not easy, but worth it. I'll share more about that as these days keep going by. And I love to use the experience that I've had with my feet on the physical ground. I mean, I had it anyway. I think it was kind of pointless in the sense of like, that's not who I am, but it served me to expand, to know more about who I really am through those experiences, to empty and let go, and to want to deepen that knowing, to want to go inward so that I can make these connections and go, oh yeah, my first husband and their dad died so that I could come to a surrendered state of openness, so that I could come more fully into detachment, which then served my relationship to my kids and ultimately served my own realization, because I realized that none of those attachments is who I am. None of those attachments is what makes me happy, because it's all an inward thing. And I see my beautiful daughter finding that out moment to moment and struggling when she doesn't. But by the grace of this path, I am loving seeing every moment of it. So I'm going to go finish playing in the rain and walking. I'm going to do a little spin and then I'm going to go play with her. And I did invite her to do a video with me. Maybe she will someday. I think that would be so cool. She tells me everything. We're really attuned. We have epic conversations about all kind of stuff, and sometimes just about Ariana Grande, and that's okay too. But it would be fun if she decided to share herself. She has a lot of understandings and a lot of feelings about things like anxiety and stress and how you get out of spaces like that when you think you can't. So hopefully she'll start to share a little bit as she feels good about it. So take care, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.